What's up, summoners? I have found that for mid and low leveled players that playing jungle can be the hardest position to play effectively. This isn't because it requires insane amount of mechanics or has difficult combos to pull off, but rather that it requires a vast amount of game knowledge and awareness. A trait that a lot of people, well, lack. However, these attributes are much easier to obtain than mechanical improvements, and with a few little tips, I think you will find your job as a jungler way easier. The first requirement of a good jungler, and also my first tip, is to have patience. Especially when you're ganking. You have to wait until the perfect moment for you to gank is present. Oftentimes this means waiting for an enemy to use their escapes, thus allowing you to close in on them. I've seen many junglers just go right into a lane and get absolutely nothing out of it, simply because the person can just run away. This actually ends up hurting you if you do this, as you end up wasting time. Time that you could have spent somewhere else, doing something useful. Notice how I'm sitting in the bush waiting for Zedd to use his shadow dash. While I'm waiting, I'm also looking at my minimap to scan the field. I know that the enemy jungler started blue, and because I have both of my buffs and am ganking, I expect that she too will also be ganking either mid or top. Because it looked like I would be getting nothing out of the mid lane, and Elise made her presence known top, I now go and counter gank for the kill. By staying in the general proximity of where I think Elise is, I allow myself to be responsive to her actions and thus put my team in a favorable position. I'm able to do this because I have a general sense of where she is on the map. Which leads me to my second tip. Always have a general sense of where the enemy jungler is on the map. This process can be done fairly easily based on your own clears and where you last saw her on the minimap. Remember my first tip, patience? This is a prime example of why it pays off. I stand in the bush yet again waiting for Zedd to use his living shadow. Once he does, I go right in, and he has no way out now except for his summoner ability Flash, which he has to use, otherwise it's an easy kill for us. Although I didn't get a kill out of this gank, it's still successful, as it will make laning easier for Ziggs later on. My next tip is one that many junglers struggle with at lower levels. The idea that being in the jungle is always where the jungler should be unless they are ganking is a common fallacy at lower levels. In reality, you should be helping lanes bully opponents and take objectives. In this particular instance, notice how I'm harassing the opponent and I'm helping my lane push their minions to tower. By doing this, I was originally hoping to get some damage to tower. However, with the surprise Ziggs ult, I'm actually able to pick up a kill as well. You'll be surprised how many people stay at tower despite being low on health and a 2v1 situation. By helping your lane take objectives and harass your enemies, you're putting your team in a favorable position, and you'll probably get a few kills off of it too. What divides the good junglers from the great junglers is if they keep timers on every buff, and what they decide to do with this knowledge. Jungle buffs spawn every 5 minutes, and generally the enemies will spawn within a few seconds of yours on the first few clears. With this knowledge in hand, you can use it to mess with the enemy jungler, and perhaps take their buffs before they even get a chance to clear it. Or if they are on top of their timers, you might even be able to steal it or kill them. Notice how right around the 7-minute mark I go straight to the enemy's blue. I know it's going to spawn, and it will be a big setback to Elise without it. By doing this, I will put myself ahead and cripple her. Plus, getting your buff stolen is a huge demotivator for a jungler and can cause people to go on tilt. Once you take the enemy's buffs, it's very important that you either ward or clear all of yours too. There's really no point to stealing their buffs if you're going to let them take yours. The next and most important tip I can give to lower level junglers is to ward. I know it sounds like people beat this topic like a dead horse, but it's really important to do. You should ideally be warding at least one of their buffs approximately a minute before the buff is going to spawn, so you have vision on it. Additionally, by having deep wards like this one, you allow your teammates to know when a gank may be coming their way. A good habit to get into is just buying a ward every time you go back. Just this one extra ward alone will probably give you way more vision than the enemy has at lower levels. By having vision of the enemy jungler, you'll be able to make informed decisions that should eventually lead to your ultimate victory. Alright summoners, I hope these little pieces of advice can help you become a better jungler. If you feel this video is helpful to you, or would be helpful to someone new to the game, please give it a thumbs up. Also, if you have any questions, feel free to leave them down in the comments and I'll try to answer them as best as I can. Wardën out.